Good morning. I'm meteorologist Ross Whitley tracking the latest with Hurricane Michael on the special update here per the National Hurricane Center at 2 a.m. this morning. That's the latest advisory. Hurricane Michael was moving off to the north-northwest at 12 miles per hour. Max winds up to 90. That's just below Category 2. Once it gets to 95, that's what Category 2 threshold meets. The pressure down to 973. Rather impressive. So we continue to see the pressure dropping, but the wind speeds haven't correlated with that just yet. But as far as the look of Michael as it starts to enter the center of the Gulf of Mexico, very, very organized with that buzzsaw type of look. We expect rapid development over the next 12 to 24 hours. This thing likely going to become a major hurricane by later this afternoon and evening, and then approaching the shoreline for us as we go into tomorrow morning. So hurricane conditions could be here as early as late tonight going into early tomorrow morning. Tropical storm conditions could arrive as early as late this evening. So your time to prepare for this system is starting to run down. We're only about 24 to 36 hours away. The models have really I don't really know the word here, but they really are together now as far as where this thing is going to make landfall. You notice the latest runs of the models here, anywhere from western parts or eastern parts of Walton County down to western parts of Gulf County. So from Port St. Joe back up to the north and west of Panama City, and all of those models are tight packed together. So landfall imminent on these areas through Bay County into Gulf County seems likely, either Bay County or Gulf County, with a landfalling hurricane sometime early tomorrow through midday, and then moving inland rather quickly. Bluntstown, Mariana, Chipley, back up toward southwest Georgia. Likely going to see hurricane conditions as well as this does move inland so very quickly. And you see how tightly grouped this all is, moving back up toward Augusta and eventually on and through. By Friday afternoon, this thing's out into the Atlantic. So a quick moving system, but a very powerful system. And as we zoom out, you can see just how large Hurricane Michael is as it moves toward the Panhandle. Now, as far as the cone of uncertainty is concerned, expecting to become a Category 2 very, very quickly today, a Category 3 by late tonight. By early tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. on Wednesday, 120 mile per hour Category 3, with the latest forecast making landfall through Bay County, right over Panama City, headed toward Dothan, and then starting to make that northeast turn. A Category 3 hurricane at 120 miles per hour. The difference between that and a Category 4, 10 miles per hour. 130 miles per hour would mean a Category 4. So this will be likely a high-end Category 3 hurricane as it makes landfall. That will do devastating effects across our area, widespread power outages, as well as potential for flash flooding. And really the biggest concern here, storm surge, coastal inundation, flash flooding, and wind damage. Isolated tornado threat, but really wind damage and widespread power outages are going to be the most noticeable effect from this system, as well as potentially flash flooding. We could see 7 to 10 inches of rain in a very short period of time with this system. Putting a timeline on all of this, now this model run isn't quite consistent with all of the other models, but it gives you an indication at least on our timeline. So don't really pay attention to what the radar is looking like here. Pay attention to the timeline. As we go throughout the day today, scattered showers and maybe even some brief heavy downpours for today going into this afternoon and evening. It will be breezy out there today as well. 20 mile per hour winds sustained could happen right along the coastline, 10 to 15 inland. So a breezy day with off and on showers, maybe a quick hitting thunderstorm as well. And then as we go from 10 o'clock on, that is when things will really start to deteriorate. From 10 p.m. tonight going into 8 a.m. on Wednesday, we're going to see conditions really going downhill with showers and thunderstorms really picking up in earnest, as well as our wind speeds picking up in earnest. By probably midnight tonight, that's when we'll start watching Franklin, Gulf County, Liberty County, Holmes, Jackson County, and even Bay County included in this for potentially tornado warnings with these thunderstorms that rotate around the center. That starts as early as midnight tonight and will go through the duration of this event. The northwest quadrant and the south northeast quadrant and southeast quadrant are the quadrants around hurricanes that we watch typically for tornadoes. So by 11 a.m., you notice that landfall is imminent just off of the coastline. We're in the thick of it at this point in time. Heavy rain and winds from Destin all the way back to Tallahassee. We'll already start to see power outages, and this will be before the system even gets here. Very heavy rain, very strong winds will be arriving. We are expecting tropical storm force winds across the entire area. They extend out 175 miles from the center. Hurricane force winds extend out 35 to 50 miles away from the center. So just because you're not going to get hit by the center, maybe you are, doesn't mean that you're not going to feel the impact from this system. If you're watching this right now and you live in the Panhandle from Defuniak Springs, really anywhere from Okaloosa County all the way down into Franklin County, back up toward Tallahassee, up to Albany, you're likely going to be significantly impacted by this system. Very heavy rain through 4 o'clock. Notice that this is a little bit later than the earlier models showing, but regardless of what the radar shows or where this makes landfall or the timing of this, but we could still see this storm potentially just about to make landfall at 4 o'clock. As we go into the evening by 8 o'clock, Marietta, Bluntstown, Tallahassee, Panama City, you could be in the thick of it. And then as we go to 10, 11 o'clock, Thursday or Wednesday night going into midnight Thursday, we'll start to clear things out on the coastline. Still breezy conditions, but improving rapidly. And then by that point in time, this thing will really start to pick up speed and move inland. By Thursday morning, as we go to about this time on Thursday morning, we'll have cleared this system out of here and we can start to recover from whatever damage is left. The wind out of the north-northwest at 12 miles per hour are hurricane watches and warnings. You can see all of the coastal watches and warnings that are posted out there. We're going to go through them individually for you right here. Hurricane warnings in effect until further notice, till this system is on, gone, and through. That's all of the Panhandle from Tallahassee all the way back to Pensacola, all the way up to Albany. That means that hurricane conditions are possible within the next 24 to 48 hours. In this case, we're talking about likely the next 36 hours where we see hurricane conditions possible within the next 36 hours. As far as the other watches that are in place, we do have a flash flood watch in place for 7 to 10 inches of rain in a very short period of time. Those low-lying areas that usually flood during our summertime thunderstorms, you can expect that they're going to flood from this system. 7 to 10 inches of rain is likely in many locations where you see the green here that extends up through southwest Georgia as well. Tallahassee included that, Franklin, Gulf County, Liberty County, Jackson County, Holmes County, Calhoun County, Washington County, and Walton County, all in the flash flood watch, as well as southern parts of Alabama. Dothan, Enterprise included in both of those flash flood watches. We do have hurricane watches out for places to the north and west just in case this system does make a little bit further of a westward tilt, and their hurricane watches are set to expire, but they are under tropical storm warnings at the current moment. That surrounds all of the hurricane warnings that are in place, and that extends all the way through Gulf Shore and Mobile, Alabama. Looking at expected storm impacts through the next couple of days. Yes, it's going to be a very intense couple of days. Tropical storm force winds starting as early as late tonight, and then a Category 3, a high-end Category 3 or low-end Category 4 likely making landfall on Wednesday. 10 to 14 inches of rain is potential in some places. 7 to 12 inches of rain seems likely at this point in time in many locations, but it could be as high as 14 inches. Storm surge in some locations, Franklin, Gulf County especially, we're talking about 7 to 12 foot of storm surge. Bay County, likely we're going to see between 5 and 8 feet of storm surge. Coastal inundation through the bays could be as high as 6 feet. And it will really depend on exactly what wind we see and the exact location of landfall from this system. If we end up on that eastern eye wall, we'll have a southern wind into the bays that will be pushing water into the bays. That's not a good scenario, but most likely at this moment in time looks like we're going to see that northern eye wall and then the western eye wall as that wind does wrap around. So that would be better for the bays than if we get into that eastern eye wall. The tornado threat there, highest on Wednesday, but could happen as early as late tonight going into tomorrow morning. And of course, major impacts across the area. Widespread power outages being our biggest concern here. There's a lot of new growth. We haven't had a big storm here since really 1995 was the last big storm. A lot of shallowly rooted trees, oak trees and pine trees that are going to be very unstress tested across the area, likely going to be falling and or snapping, and that will lead to power outages across the area. That's going to be likely the biggest impact to our area is power outages. And of course, we'll be watching the other impacts as well. If you'd like to track this along with us, you can download the WMVB Viper weather app. We're going to be pushing notifications through the app all day long, as well as giving you updates not only here on Facebook, but we're going to be doing live cut-ins as well, starting sometime early this morning after we get through the newscast early this morning. We'll start cut-ins going throughout the day today, and then eventually we'll have wall-to-wall coverage for you as we go through the duration of this event. But you can find out all of this information on our WMVB Viper weather app or here on our WMVB TV Facebook page, as well as mypanhandle.com. Make sure to follow all of the meteorologists' social media pages, as we will continue to post information throughout the duration of this event to keep you safe and out of harm.